So today we will be talking about the concept of sound as elucidated in the scriptures. Basically, in the material world, sound is a principle which is fundamentally distinct from the concept of name. Name is simply a speculative construct. It is simply a kind of a designation or a kind of a jargon that is used to evoke the idea of sound. Now, basically, for example, imagine I were to tell you, please give me iodine. Now, do you get any idea of what what I want when I say, please give me iodine? You will tell me. So the concept or the idea of the object has not yet formed inside your mind. So this name has no value. But when I tell you that, oh, this iodine means, actually in my language, it means water. And suddenly you get the concept of water in your mind. Now, once the picture or the concept of water, the idea of the object, water, forms inside your mind, that becomes sound. So sound is not some kind of vibration that you are hearing. That's not the actual understanding of sound as depicted in the scriptures. Actually, sound means the idea of an object when it forms inside the mind. Now, this is a very involving subject matter, and it's a little complicated also. So, sound, Prabhupada, actually this all started when Prabhupada in 2nd Canto, 5th chapter, 25th verse, he explains this following line. He says, the 5 elements, namely sky, air, fire, water and earth, are all but different qualities of the darkness of false ego. This means that false ego is the sum total of Mahatattva, is generated from the marginal potency of the Lord. The sound is the representation of the actual object, as the sound produced speaking of the object gives an idea of the description of the object. This is what Srila Prabhupada says. He says it's an actual representation of the object. Now, we always thought that water is different from the sound, object water. But Krishna's sound is non-different from Krishna. But here Prabhupada is saying even the sound of water is non-different. It's an actual subtle representation of the object itself. So he says, therefore sound is a subtle characteristic of the object. Similarly, sound representation of the Lord in terms of his characteristics is complete form of the Lord. This is what Srila Prabhupada is saying. So similarly he uses. Generally we used to contrast it. We said that water and the sound water are different. When we say water, our thirst is not quenched, right? When we say water, sound water. But Krishna and his name is non-different. Prabhupada is saying the sound, water and water are also non-different. And similarly, Krishna and his holy name is non-different. This was shocking for me, and so this led me to go deeper into this concept of what sound actually is. So when we say that the name water and the object water are different, it's not the sound, it's the name that is different. So the idea of the object inside your mind, once you think about water inside your mind, the actual object is actually there inside the mind in a subtle way, as opposed to the sound. Sound is just water. Water is a dictionary name. You understand? So water is nothing but a dictionary representation of the name. You can have it anything. You can call it anything. Water, neer, pani, whatever you want to call it, you can call it. So it doesn't nothing. But the concept, the idea of the object, when it comes inside your mind, that is the actual object only. Now you may say, but it doesn't quench my thirst, right? If I just think about water, smarana of water. Smarana is the idea of an object actually. So smarana means the idea of an object has come to the mind. So if you say that if I just think of the water, can I quench my thirst? If you think about Delhi, can I go to Delhi right now? You cannot go because you don't know how to manipulate the source code. Sound is the source code. So your mind is the laptop, okay? And the software to interpret that source code is your subtle body, sukshma sharira, which contains intelligence and karmendriya and gyanendriya. So imagine each jivatma is connected to a common server, and this whole world is there inside that server. This whole world that you see around, like a website, and we are all connected to that website via our laptops. Laptop is the mind. So the source code from which the whole website is made is sound, because sound, everything in the world comes from sound actually. Now, if you think about a particular object or a particular space, like you want to go to Delhi, you want to go to Mumbai, or you want to think about water, you cannot actually go to Delhi, or neither can you access water from your mind. But if it is Vishwamitra Muni or Kardama Muni, because they know how to manipulate the source code of the sound. Just by thinking of that object, they can get the object. It's not a siddhi. So if they want water and they think about water, they can manifest actual water from their thoughts. Why? Because they know how to manipulate sound. They know how to code. They are like hackers. They know how to code the entire universe. The website. They can alter the website of the universe. The website is created by Krishna and Maya. She is the architect of this universe. The architect means she is known as the one who designs and runs the universe. Basically, it's in Sanskrit it's known as efficient cause. And the material from which it is made is known as pradhan. So it's related to Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva is known as Lord of Pradhan. Also is known as the material cause for the universe. So his upadan karana means milk is Krishna, his spiritual body, and when it transforms into curd, it's Lord Shiva's body. It's also secret kind of thing. So it's then Brahma Samhita, I can quote it. So but our point right now is that Mahatattva is the basic booting computer. So the basic structure, the entire universe ka jo structure hai, the source, the entire server, it is created from a material known as pradhan. Pradhan is the material cause for this universe. When Maya enters pradhan, means the coder enters this whole structure, and the architect for designing this universe, she enters that area where the architect and the efficient cause and the material cause are united together. That is known as marginal potency of Lord Krishna, and that is known as the mixture of two potencies, external and internal. Internal is Yogamaya, external is Pradhan. That becomes Mahatattva. So here Prabhupada says that the five elements, namely sky, earth, water, are all different qualities of the darkness of false ego, and they meet that all the false ego is a sum total of form of Mahatattva is generated from marginal potency of Lord. So you can clearly see what is marginal. So why are we Jivatmas known as marginal potency? Because we exist inside the material world, where there are two energies. One is the internal energy, which is the architect of this universe, and external energy, which is the source code for this universe. Like it's like material elements. And from this external energy, the Lord of Tamoguna, Lord Shiva, or you can say the elements are generated from him: sky, earth, water, fire, Tamoguna. These different qualities of the darkness of false ego. False ego, Shambho, is also known as the Rudra principle. Ahankara principle is also known as Rudra principle, false ego. It comes from Lord Shiva. From there the elements are coming out. Material elements, which is called matter. Pradhana ka the actual manifestation of Pradhana. So basically it is Lord Shiva's body, this material world, what you see as it is. And inside that is integrated Yogamaya. She doesn't touch the material world in any way. She manipulates the material world through Durga Shakti, potency, which is created from Lord Shiva's body only. And it's managed by Yogamaya, basically, the entire machinery of Durga. So basically the source code from which all the things are created, that source code is known as sound. Sound is the source code. So the first element that is created is sound. So in Brahma Samhita we can see this 5.10. Thereupon Shambho, the Lord of Pradhan, see clearly it is mentioned here in Brahma Samhita, embodying the substantive principle of material entities. What do you mean by substance? Material cause, that is known as substance. Substantive principle. Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur uses the word substantive principle, means all the material ingredients, material cause, upadan karana, is Lord Shiva. That means Pradhana is also known as Upadan Karana. That is also Lord Shiva. That we can, his body. Pradhan is Lord Shiva's body. This secret is revealed here. The dim reflection of Supreme Lord's own divine glance consummates his intercourse in Maya and the efficient mundane cause principle. Intercourse means, we think of intercourse as like something like sexual intercourse. That is not sexual intercourse. It's just merger of efficient cause and the material cause, forming Mahatattva. And then from Mahatattva is where the machinery is going to be started. Like just like imagine the driver has entered the architect for design has entered the construction site. Construction site is Lord Shiva's body, and the architect who is going to design all the things inside that is Maya. She has entered, she has merged into Lord Shiva's body, and then she creates machinery from that Lord Shiva's body known as Durga, and from that manipulating that machinery, because she cannot touch the material world, she is too pure for that. She doesn't touch anything of the matter. and through that thing she manipulates the entire material world and manages the material world also at the same time. So she is the efficient cause, and because her counterpart Durga, which is like supposed to be the machine from which the whole world is created and everything, that's why she is also the, sometimes she is also known as efficient and upadana karan also. Maya is also known as that, because ultimately she is using the material elements and then further creating for more material elements from those material core material in the sarga stage. Let's not go into technical details. In this context, we can see that when Krishna desires to manifest something, 5.19 Brahma Samhita, when Krishna desires to manifest something in the mundane ignorance wrapped affairs, he does this by the conjunction of his spiritual potency with his inactive non-spiritual potency. This is known as Yoga Maya. It carries a twofold notion, namely transcendental notion and mundane inert notion. Krishna himself, his subjective portions, and those jivas who are his unalloyed separated particles realize the transcendental notion in that conjunction, while the conditioned souls feel the mundane inert notion. The external coating of transcendental knowledge in the conscious activities of conditioned souls bears the name of Yoga Nidra, sorry. So this looks like a very complicated thing, like you cannot understand, but it's very simple actually. So what is it? Let's go line by line. When Krishna desires to manifest something in the mundane ignorance wrapped affairs, he does this by the conjunction of his spiritual potency with his inactive non-spiritual potency. Very clear. Inactive non-spiritual potency is Durga, basically. Okay, and spiritual potency Yoga Maya. Why it is known as inactive? He doesn't want to use the word dead. It is actually dead. That means there is no Durga. This is a secret. Anybody who knows the secret about Durga doesn't take another birth in the material world. This is said by Naraja in the Narada Panchatatra. What is the secret? That there is no Durga. Maya, that which is not. There is no Durga. It's just a machinery, a drone which is operated by Yoga Maya, basically. So these are actually extremely secretive things, subject matter. So Prabhupada is trying to hide that anyways. So he says, instead of using dead machinery, he uses inactive non-spiritual potency. The conjunction of this and that. That's why we are known as marginal potency. Okay, the Yoga Maya is operating in a machine. That machine is known as Durga, made from Lord Shiva's body. And Durga controls everything in the material world, right from creation, maintenance, destruction, everything is using. So Krishna, how does it do everything? He prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atmamaya. So how does he manipulate the material world? Prakritim, which is Durga, swam adhisthaya, take control, sambhavami, and make myself, everything I make manifest myself, Atma Maya, through Atma Maya. So Bhagavad Gita. So what he does is he takes control of Durga, and whatever he wants he tells Yoga Maya, and Yoga Maya does everything to Durga. Lord Shiva is completely neutral. He has nothing to do with anything. He simply follows Krishna's instruction. He just lends his body. Jo karna hai karo. You do whatever you want with my body, no problem. That's why he is known as Guna Avatar. Why Guna Avatar? Because he doesn't do anything other than Krishna's desire. So he is as good as Krishna in that sense. Whatever Krishna wants, it gets it done through Yoga Maya, and Yoga Maya does everything. Lord Shiva is simply neutral, absolutely neutral. Krishna himself, his subjective portions, and those jivas who are unalloyed separated particles realize the transcendental notion of in that conjunction. So he here says that the conjunction is known as Yoga Maya. Now you must say, this merger of Durga and Yoga Maya is known as Yoga Maya. Why it's known as Yoga Maya? It should be known as merger of two things, right? See, now if a person is there, okay, and he's operating a drone or machine, he's sitting inside a machine, or he's wearing a dress, okay. Now Durga is known as a dress or the outer covering of Yoga Maya, or the shadow of Yoga Maya. What does shadow do? Shadow just simply follows what the actual person is doing, or the dress simply is wrapped around the person, right? So outer covering and shadow, both in shadow is used in Brahma Samhita, outer covering is used in Narada Panchatantra, quoted in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Durga is simply outer dress of Yoga Maya. So when a person is wearing a dress, like Radhanath Maharaj is coming in a dress, red color, saffron robes, do you call that a merger of dress and Radhanath Swami, or do you call him Radhanath Swami? You call it Radhanath Swami only. You don't see the dress as separate, right? So the conjunction is known as, Prabhupada says, Yoga Maya. Why Srila Prabhupada is calling it as Yoga Maya? And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada is calling it as Yoga Maya, because the actual person inside the dress is Yoga Maya. And as devotees, we don't see Mahamaya at all. We don't see the material nature as independent of Krishna, because material nature means independent of Krishna. We think, oh, all these machines is working by itself. But when we see Yogamaya is sitting inside the machine and Yogamaya reports to Krishna, then we see everything is done by Krishna. This whole world is run by Krishna. Vasudevam sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. So we only see Krishna because we know that Yogamaya reports to Krishna. She doesn't report to Lord Shiva. She doesn't report to all the material demigods. Nothing. She reports to Krishna. And she controls Durga. And the material nature, although it looks as if it's independently running, all the things are happening automatically. It's all being done by as per desire of Krishna. He is the enjoyer. It's happening for his enjoyment. Material world also. So Krishna himself, his subjective portions, and those jivas who are his unalloyed separated particles, that is pure devotee, Nitya Siddha Mahabhagat, realize the transcendental notion in that conjunction. That means they realize transcendental notion means what? They see only Yogamaya in this material world. Vasudevam sarvamiti. Sab Krishna hi kar raha hai. Somebody comes and slaps you. No, he is not slapped me. He is not independent of Krishna. He is controlled by Maya. Maya is controlled by Yogamaya. Yogamaya is controlled by Krishna. So ultimately Krishna sent him to slap me. So when you see like that, you see this world as everything is Krishna only. You don't see anybody else. There is no offense. There is no non-devotees. There is no devotees. Uttamadhikari sees everything as done by Krishna. There is no preaching. Everything is Krishna's Leela. There is no villain. There is no hero. That way. So in that conjunction, they realize the transcendental notion, that is Yogamaya, while conditioned soul feel the mundane inert notion. Inert means dead notion, that is Durga. They see Durga in this conjunction. They see Durga means, oh, this machine, material machine is working by itself. Oh, somebody is slapping me, somebody is beating me. This is my enemy, this is my friend. I have conquered so many people. I have not conquered so many. There Bhagavad Gita, the demoniac thought process is given. I have done this much, I have done that much. These are my enemies, these are my friends. Prahlad Maharaj says, there is no enemy, there is no friend. All thing is done by Krishna. The energy that is helping Hiranyakashipu, that same energy is also giving me protection. He says that. It's the same Shakti. So he sees only Krishna. The external coating of transcendental knowledge in the conscious activities of conditioned soul bears the name Yoga Nidra. So basically we are all dreaming in the Yoga Nidra. So this was the basic context. Now we will come back to our sound concept. Now we just went into the creation concept. In the sound concept, in this context, Mahamaya, which is inert, is generated from Pradhana and subsequently operated by Yogamaya for the purpose of material creation and functionality. So 5.45, in the work of mundane creation as the material cause, in the work of preservation. So now in the work of mundane creation as the material cause. What is material cause? Upadana Karana. Okay, just remember. So Prabhupada is saying, in the work of mundane creation as the material cause, in the work of preservation by destruction of sundry asuras, and in the work of destruction to conduct the whole operation, Govinda manifests himself as Gunavatar in the form of Shambho. That means, as an individual, Govinda is different from Shambho, but as a part of his body, he manifests himself. Just like Krishna transforms a part of his spiritual body into material body. And the person who is in charge of that material body is Shambho. Shambho and Lord Govinda are not same individuals. Individuality is Achintya Bheda Bhed is there. Individuals are separate, but Krishna's own body gets manifested into some other form. And that form is known as matter. Milk gets converted into curd. And curd can also get converted into milk also. That is also possible. Although curd does not have the properties of milk, milk has all the properties of curd, but curd can be converted back into milk if the original milk wants it. Because Krishna can convert matter into spirit and spirit into matter. Prabhupada says that. I'll quote it further also. Like Bahiranga Shakti is stone. Krishna manifests, enters that and becomes the stone only. Then the deity of Lord Krishna. He becomes Antaranga Shakti again. Swayam Krishna. Gopinath, non-different from Krishna. So initially it was stone, but now it is Krishna. So what has happened? Chatak Purvat was initially stone, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked at it. It became Govardhan. What is happening? Bahiranga into Antaranga. That is also possible. So Shambho, he manifests himself as Guna Avatar in the form of Shambho. For what? For the work of mundane creation as the material cause. Material cause means what? Upadan Karana. Upadan Karana we all know is Pradhan. Pradhan is always known as material cause. Upadan Karana. So as material cause, he manifests himself as Lord Shiva, clearly implying in an indirect way that Lord Shiva is Lord of Pradhan, which already he also mentions that in the previous verse also. So Pradhan is nothing but Lord Shiva's body. Now, so he, when you say Govinda manifests himself as Lord Shiva, don't think that that individual has become another individual. It's not like, Parinam Vad of Mayavad. that he has transformed into Lord Shiva. His individuality has transformed into Shiva's individuality. No, that is wrong. Krishna never can become Lord Shiva as an individual, but he transforms himself as Lord Shiva in the sense he transforms his body into matter, and that matter ka jo person, the individual who is in control or in charge of matter is Lord Shiva. Just like Krishna's body is in charge of a lady, she is known as Sandhini Shakti. His cognizance is in charge, a lady is known as Samvit Shakti, and his emotions, Ananda, is another lady is in charge, and that is known as Radharani. But their individuals are separate. When does Krishna transform his individuality? He doesn't transform his individuality when, Radharani is a separate individual. He is not transforming his individuality. Balram is Lord Shiva is a separate individual. He doesn't transform his individuality. The only place where he transforms his individuality means he becomes a separate individual. That is when he becomes Balram, Vishnu, all these things. So that what is happening is his individuality, he is creating another individual from his own individuality. But those individuals are not separate individuals. They are one and the same. Balram is Krishna only. Similarly, Vishnu is Balram only. Everybody is same. But their mood is separate and distinct. So if you tell Balramji that no, you are not Krishna, or if or Lakshman, everything, they are all actually same Vishnu Tattva, but they have distinct moods. If you tell Lakshman that you are only Lord Ram, he'll get very so angry, he'll slap you, because his mood is so different. Even a devotee of Lord Lakshman will slap you if you tell like that. But tattva wise they are one personality. They are not different. But they are thinking multiple personality. They are thinking themselves to be multiple persons. And once they go into that mood of different person, they completely think that they are different people. So their individuality has transformed. These Mayavadis are saying that such transformation of individuality leads to Jivatma also. That is impossible. Jivatma are separate individuals. Eternally they are separate individuals. But Krishna can do this individual trick on himself. He can do that. Like, Krishna can become Gopinath, can become Jagannath, he can become Sakshi Gopal. All these things he can do. He is transforming his individuality. But he doesn't do that to Lord Shiva. He cannot become Lord Shiva. He is a separate individual. But he transforms his body. He manifests as Lord Shiva means he transforms his body and becomes Lord Shiva. Means his body becomes matter, and matter is always Lord Shiva's purview. So what is happening is wherever Krishna transforms his spiritual body into material body, that part becomes Lord Shiva's body. So he transforms into Lord Shiva in that sense he transforms, not in the sense of individuality. So that should become very clear. Otherwise it will become Mayavad. If Lord Krishna can become Lord Shiva, it's Mayavad. Okay. Just like fire is identified with Krishna, heat represents Ladini Shakti, light represents Sandhini Shakti, touch of the fire represents Samvit Shakti, smoke will represent Lord Shiva, and the spark represents Jivatma. So this is how we can understand. 4.7.54 purport. Two words are very significant in this verse. Trayanam indicates three, namely Lord Brahma, Shiva and Vishnu. Bhidam means different. They are three and therefore they are separate, but at the same time they are one. This is philosophy of simultaneous oneness and difference. So Prabhupada also accepts that this is all Lord Shiva means simultaneous oneness and difference. But Lord Chaitanya and Vishnu, there is no difference. It's same person. In Adi Leela 17th, you can understand this. A hint is given like that. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu adopted the mood of Lord Shiva, for he is Lord Shiva also. According to philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, Lord Shiva is not different from Lord Vishnu, but still Lord Shiva is not Lord Vishnu, just as yogurt is nothing but milk, yet milk is not milk, nevertheless. It is important to observe that Lord Chaitanya is so very important thing here you can see is that it is said that Lord Shiva is not different from Lord Vishnu, but Lord Shiva is not Lord Vishnu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when it was compared with Lord Shiva, the Achintya Bheda was Tattva was used. But Vishnu and Lord Chaitanya, there was no Achintya Bheda Tattva. You can see that. Prabhupada says just like Vishnu and Vishnu. So whenever instead of Lord Chaitanya he used the word Vishnu directly use the word Vishnu there, because there is no Achintya Bheda at all. So then he compares Vishnu and Lord Shiva, what's the difference and everything like that. So now we'll come back. So Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.33, he has a proof for that. Everything is an emanation from the Supreme Spirit, and by his inconceivable power he can convert spirit into matter and matter into spirit. Prabhupada is saying this. Therefore, a material thing is at once turned into spiritual force by the great will of the Lord. The necessary condition for such a change is to employ the so-called matter in the service of the spirit. That's the way to treat our material disease and elevate ourselves to the spiritual plane where there is no misery, no lamentation and no fear. So this is the purport ends Prabhupada. So it's clearly mentioned that, just like Prabhupada says many times, microphone is spiritual, material, but then it becomes spiritual when you use it in Krishna service. Krishna makes it spiritual. So it's like that. It becomes a part of Krishna's spiritual body. So Krishna can convert matter into spirit and spirit into matter. So this bahiranga shakti, antaranga shakti, tatasya shakti, these are all circumstantial things. They are not permanent demarcations. Many people go into great lengths to try to understand bahiranga shakti, but here Krishna can change bahiranga into antaranga, antaranga into tatasya. Everything he can transform like that. As an individual we are separate, but remember that individuality is never overridden by Krishna. He can never become marginal energy as an individual. Although marginal energy is a part of Krishna only, it's a part of spiritual world energy, but in the material world it is known as marginal. That's all, because it is existing, Jivatma is existing between two spiritual and material worlds. That's why it is known as marginal. But remember, as an individual we are separate from Krishna. There is no individual overriding. Krishna cannot override the individual. Even when he becomes a Jivatma, he becomes a Jivatma like like Brahma Vimon Leela. He can become like a Jivatma, exactly, but he still remains Vishnu Tattva only. Even when he assumes the form of Jiva, he can become one of his Shaktis like Radharani. Still he remains Lord Krishna only. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not Radharani, he is Krishna only, in the mood of Radharani. He can become Lord Shiva also. There he assumes the Lord Shiva when he is drinking Putana's poison. Still he remains Vishnu only. He can become Lord Vishnu also sometimes. Of course he is Vishnu only, but like in Paitha Bihari pastime where he gets the four-handed form of Vishnu. But because everything is emanating from Krishna, whether marginal potency, whether it's the internal potency like Radharani, or whether it's Lord Shiva, or whether it's Vishnu. Vishnu is himself only, no doubt. There is no Achintya Bhed. So everything is coming from Krishna. Bhahiranga Shakti, like deity, he acts like a stone. Then he becomes a stone. Because stone is coming from Krishna. So everything is coming from Krishna. So he can become anything, but at the same time he remains Krishna only. He cannot, his individuality is that of Krishna. He is always Vishnu Tattva. Although he can become Bhahiranga Shakti like a stone, he can become Jivatma like a Brahma Vyomon Leela, but still he remains Vishnu. That you have to understand. So that Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva is different when Lord Radharani is has a different Achintya Bheda Bheda with Krishna. Shivji has a different Achintya Bheda Bhed with Krishna. We have a different Achintya. We the infinitesimal. Radharani is infinite. Shiva is infinite. Like Krishna. But they have individuals, they are separate individuals. They are not same. Brahma Samhita 5.19. When Krishna desires to manifest something in the mundane, this is already done. So Jiva is all Jivas exist in a dormant state. So now we'll see how this material world is created, how we Jivas are integrated into the material world, and how Krishna creates sound, and through sound all this world is created. So this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto 5th chapter 25th 27th 27 28 29 30 31 32 verses, where the material world creation is explained. So what they are saying is that in those verses, you will have to check out those verses. It is said that initially in the creation of the material world, the mind is created first. Like first there is pradhana is the ingredients, the matter. From that there is an architect who enters pradhana and starts creating the things. That is yogamaya, the glance of the Lord and stuff like that. So from that point onwards, the time starts in the material world. Till that time there is no time. So when you say nitya siddha, nitya baddha, many people get confused. They think that nitya siddha means what? One who is eternally, there are different meanings. One is nitya siddha also means that eternal, like nitya seva. Nitya seva means constant seva, constantly doing some seva, nitya seva. In the same way, nitya siddha means one who constantly sees only Krishna. In the conjunction of yogamaya and mahamaya, he is only seeing Krishna, yogamaya, means he doesn't see anything material in the material world. He is colorblind to the material world. Pure devotee like Prabhupada, he is nitya siddha. And nitya baddha means he sees only matter in the material world. He cannot see Krishna. You cannot see Krishna in prasad, in harinam, in deities. You only see matter. But still we know it is Krishna, but we cannot see Krishna. It's covered by Maya. So we are nitya baddha because we see only matter. And nitya siddha means one who sees only Krishna or pure spirit. So their vision is totally different from our vision. So this is also explained in that way in which Kshetra and Kshetragya, the way in which the Kshetragya, the one who knows the field of activity, there are different types of people who know the field of activities. Means this material world can be known in different ways. Either you can see the material world through material eyes, that is nitya baddha, or spiritual eyes, nitya siddha. Nitya means constant. Siddha means you are completely liberated. All the time your vision is liberated vision. and constantly bound vision. So now some people say Nitya means Anadikal. It is not actually basically related to constant. So okay, we'll take that also. Still it doesn't change this picture, because as we see here that time did not exist at the point of Pradhan. There is no time. Absolutely, there is no time. When you say there is no time, there is no past, there is no present, there is no future. Remember that. It's not like there is some past like that, there is some present. No, there is no time at all. At the glance of the Lord, Maya enters the material world and she merges with Lord Shiva's existence, and then she starts creating the architecture using Durga. This glance, Jivatmas also are impregnated inside the material world. And then time starts. At this point, so Pradhana in the Bhagavatam is known as Nitya. There's a verse which is saying Nitya means Pradhan. Because the Pradhan, at the stage of Pradhan, there is no time. So if you say Nitya Baddha, it simply means that we are bound from this point, from which before time has started. Anadikal means time started when the Krishnas glanced on this material world. So from that point, time started. And when time started from that point, before that there was no time only. Okay. So from that point onwards, if we were bound from that point onwards, that means we are Nitya Biddha. And before that, if you are unbound, then we are Nitya Siddha. Fine. But if 2 times you have entered the material world, then you are Nitya Baddha only. Just 2 times. It doesn't mean that you are eternally in the material world. See, the point is, once you have entered the material world, okay, and you are bound inside the material world, then you get merged into the body of Lord Vishnu. Second time when you enter the material world, the time again begins, and you are already bound in the previous cycle of Lord Vishnu. So you are Nitya Baddha in that sense. It doesn't mean that Anadikal doesn't mean that you are never in the spiritual world, you are never in Vaikunta, you never fell down. It doesn't mean that. It simply means that you are at least twice you have come inside the material world. That's it. Because once you are bound, then you merge into body of Lord Vishnu. Again you come into the material world. And this time you are already bound. And time has started now. So before time has started, you are already bound. That's all it means. Even if you take the word Nitya in that sense. So there is a huge controversy, Nitya Baddha, Nitya Siddha, and so many things like that. But it's as same. We were in the spiritual world, because our fall from spiritual world happened with hundreds and millions of cycles like this. Before time was not created, time was created, and time was not created, time was created. So many times time was not there, then time came into picture. Every time material world is created, time comes into picture, then time goes out of picture, then time comes into. So our fall from the spiritual world was far beyond that. So it doesn't mean, Nitya Baddha doesn't mean that we were never in the spiritual world. That is nothing to do with that. Simply says that before time we were bound. And time started when Lord Vishnu glanced. Before that there is no mention of time in the Shastras. Because in spiritual world there is no time. So you cannot, no, time means spiritual world also. That is completely, I don't know what. Anyways, that is another trajectory that we don't want to go to that trajectory right now. But since the point came here, so we can understand that whatever Prabhupada says, we were all in spiritual world, we were in Vaikunta, and we came from there. So it's very logical. We were there actually. Although Krishna can change everything, Prabhupada also says that also, that Krishna wants, he can change your entire narrative can be changed. He simply tells Maya that, this guy just changed his narrative. He was never in the spiritual world. Make that his narrative. So she can go and she can change the past also. Because past, present, future is all under Krishna's control. So if he wants it, then he can. Prabhupada says, if he wants, Krishna is beyond the power. He can do anything. There is nothing that he cannot do. So that way he can do probably Prabhupada is not saying that we were not in the spiritual world. He is simply saying that this discussion has got no importance very much, because Krishna has power to change anything. So if Krishna doesn't like something, he will change the past. And your entire past story, your narrative, where you came from, how did you come from, everything can be changed. Because Yogamaya controls time, the very concept of time. If in Einstein's theory of relativity, there is a basic premise, like if you are inside a elevator and you throw a ball and the ball falls down, and there can be 2 truths. One is either the elevator is going up or the ball is falling down due to gravitation. Either elevator stays stationary and the ball is falling down at 9.8 meters per second. There is a gravitation of 9.8 meters per second square, or the ground floor of the elevator is moving up at a speed of 9.8 meters per second square, and because of that you are feeling as if there is gravitation, but actually there is no gravitation. The elevator is moving up. He says, which is of this is the truth? He says, everything is the truth. Until there is a witness for this who is outside this elevator, you cannot say which is the truth. Both are truth. So in this world, truth only can be seen by a witness. If there is no witness, then everything is truth. That is what Einstein says. So in the same way, what is the truth? What is the past? What is the present? These things are determined by Yogamaya and Krishna. If Krishna says, I don't want this as the past, I just want completely eradicate everything. Nothing is there. I want something else only. If Krishna desires such a thing, then Yogamaya can go in the past, delete all the files, everything she can change. The very narrative of the Jivatma, she can change that. And then she can delete her own files, because she is the only witness for this. Krishna doesn't even care about all these things. So she can delete her own files. Once the witness is deleted, the truth becomes the absolute truth. So in that sense, anything is possible. But because Srila Prabhupada is clearly saying that we came from Vaikuntha, that is it. And it's also personal, because if you say you are always there in the material world, that means what? That means you have no relation with Krishna, that you never had a relation with Krishna. That means, why the hell is Krishna beating the hell out of you and making your world dukkhalayam then, if you have no relation with Krishna? The whole narrative becomes a problem. It becomes impersonal in nature. And then they say the whole point is that, we were never in this, because Krishna says, one who yad-gatva na-nivartante. Krishna clearly says, one who attains the spiritual world doesn't come back. Are Baba, but Krishna himself comes back 1,000,000 times. The Shastra shloka is very clear. Na yad-gatva na-nivartante. So Krishna's pure devotees, Radharani comes down, Govardhan comes down from spiritual world. Once they attain spiritual world, how come Govardhan can come down? No, that doesn't mean, then you are interpreting again. That means again the same thing I can also say, that when Krishna says yad-gatva na-nivartante, generally he doesn't come back. That is what Krishna is saying. But anybody who wants to come, he can come. That's what I meant. So you say, no, Krishna's words are absolute. Then his words are absolute. Then you should accept that also, that Krishna also should not be able to come back. And then Govardhan should not be able to come back. No, coming back means coming into the material world. They are never in the material world. Are Baba, you are putting words again. You are putting interpretation. Krishna says, janma karma cha, janma. So he says, again janma he will take. He takes his own janma. He doesn't say divya janma or some special. He says that, he doesn't say appearance. He says janma only. No? So similarly, Krishna himself takes janma again and again in the material world. Yad gatva na nivartante, he is taking janma again. So if Krishna is able to take janma, that means when he says nobody comes back, then he comes back, no. And his pure devotees are coming back. Radharani is coming back. All the people are coming down. So, anyways, so the point that we are trying to make here is that again we are going out of trajectory here. So many things are there here actually. So how this material world is created? First, Jivatma is integrated in the glance of Lord Vishnu into the material world. Okay. Then after that, what happens? A machine is given to the Jivatma. The machine is made from hardware. So there are two things: hardware and software. Okay. The hardware is that which does not change. Software is that which keeps on changing. Okay, subtle. Now, what is sat? Sat is that which does not change. Na sato vidyate bhavo na bhava vidyate satah. That which does not change is sat, and that which keeps on changing is asat. Asat is what? Actually, chit and ananda. And sat is what? Sat. Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Asat is Chit and Ananda, software. So, Prabhupada says the three spiritual energies, Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini, they influence on the material modes, and therefore Jivatma is servant of Krishna in the material world also. Because in the spiritual world is controlled by Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini. In the material world is controlled by Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, Tamaguna. So these three gunas are created from three spiritual Shaktis: Sandhini Shakti, Samvit Shakti, and Ladini Shakti. So now he doesn't mention, Prabhupada, which is Sandhini, which is Samvit. Now we know Sandhini is Sattva Guna. Why? Because Sandhini is Shuddha Sattva, is known as Sandhini. And Sattva is Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha means there is no Rajaguna, no Tamaguna, that is Brahman, Sandhini Shakti. Now, after that, Sandhini Shakti, what is Rajoguna? We can guess. Rajoguna is very clear. It is a mode of passion. Passion is Kama. Kama comes from which? Who is the Kamini? From which Kama is coming? Mahabhavini, Swarupini. That is Radharani, it's Ladini Shakti, from which Rajoguna is coming. And knowledge in the spiritual world is Chit Shakti. And what does knowledge become in the material world? Ignorance. The knowledge of matter is nothing but ignorance. So, mode of ignorance coming from Samvit Shakti of Lord Krishna, basically. So, if you see, what is happening is, first the hardware is created. In the spiritual world, hardware is created by Sandhini. Sandhini is physical aspect of Krishna. So in the material world also, the physical part which is created is mind. The mind is the machine, the headset through which the virtual world can be viewed by the Jivatma. So Sattva Guna creates the mind and the sense Devta post. There can be no sense Devtas right now because it is just a post, because it is Sarga, it is not Visarga yet. So sense Devta post is not created. So we'll come back to the sound ka principle right now. Let's skip all the other things. So the first thing that is created from the Ahankara is like a server, okay, for the virtual world. It's like a server, and from that server, first thing that comes out is a headset. So all the jivas are connected to the headsets so that they can have a shared dream. So it's like putting a laptop or connecting a headset, so for entering a virtual world. Like you have Google Lens, augmented reality, stuff like that. So that headset is created from Sattva Guna. Sattva Guna is the physical aspect. On that headset, Rajoguna and Tamoguna is a software. That's why it's not Asat. Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Sattva Guna is Sat. Rajoguna Tamoguna is software that runs. The operating system software is Rajoguna, because that is the Sukshma Sharira. It is the software which interprets the byte codes. Tamoguna is the byte codes. It's like the source code for creating the world. So that source code is passed to the software, and the software will decode the source code as per the software. Like, every person has a different version of software. Like a dog has a different software. Like we have a different Sukshma Sharira. The dog has. So the Sharira is, the software is the same, but it has got certain modifications depending upon the kind of body that you are in. So then it will interpret the all the source code in a different way. Like human body is the highest kind of software that we can have, the upgraded software, like the highest, where we can have and then Siddha Purushas are there, whose software is even more powerful. So from that, then they can control the mind, and then they can actually change the source code. Those Siddha Purushas can change the source code of this world. So this world is like an entire website that is created by Maya and Krishna and fed to each and every Jivatma. Jivatma starts seeing the dream of this world, and he starts seeing all the elements and trees and everything. So the source code is sound. So sound comes from Tamoguna. From Tamoguna, the sound is it becomes a material sound. So originally the sound is spiritual. Om. Om ityadat brahmano nedishtam nama. It is the closest designation for Brahman. Om. It's a nama that represents Brahman. Brahman is Krishna's body. So that represented by Om. So in another verse, I think, I don't exactly know which is the verse. I'll just check out here. Prabhupada is saying that is quoting the verse itself, Bhagavatam verse it is. What is the meaning of sound? Which is the verse? I just have to check out that verse. Artha 3.26.33 verse. It says that the sages understand sound like this: artha-āśrayatvam, śabdasya, draṣṭur liṅgatvam. So this is the first part of it. So Prabhupada says that the idea of an object, artha-āśray, that which conveys the intrinsic meaning of an object, or precisely that which has a foundation substratum for all objects. So Prabhupada says, he says that which conveys the idea of an object is sound. So sound is not just a sound vibration, like what you can hear, air vibration. That is not sound. That which conveys the idea of an object. So artha-āśrayatvam. So I can understand artha is something like meaning or idea. Ashrayatvam means it is the substratum or foundation for the ideas. All ideas that you are getting means all visualizations. Whatever you are seeing in this world, this virtual world that you are able to experience, that is giving meaning to you. The substratum for that is the source code for that is sound. Artha-āśrayatvam. Ashrayatvam is a foundational substratum. And artha is anything that is of meaning to you right now in this world. Just like the very things that are the ideas of the object that you are getting inside your mind. All the very foundation for that is sound. And draṣṭur liṅgatvam. So there are different meanings. One thing we can, draṣṭur is Lord Krishna also, and liṅgatvam means his subtle body of Krishna. That the body of Krishna himself. Linga is also the body. So the body of Krishna, linga, is nothing but sound. So Om ityadat brahmano nedishtam nama. Brahman is the body of Krishna. In Rig Veda it is mentioned. Om ityadat brahmano nedishtam nama yasmad uchcharyamana eva samsara bhayat tarit tasmad uchchate taraha. So Om is also known as body of Krishna. So this Om only, Prabhupada says in his conversation with Allen Ginsberg, that originally everything was created from sound. Therefore sound is originally spiritual in nature. Why? Because Om is the original. Prabhupada says Om is from, the whole world is created from Om. So this Om, that is Brahman, is the substratum from Pradhan. So you have to understand that. So Om is nothing but the body of Krishna, and Om is also Brahman. So therefore the substratum, pradhana, from which everything is created, is coming from Om only, actually. So the underlying principle of the matter itself is Om. But Om is perverted and comes out in the form of 5 elements. So first there is sound, that is created from Tamoguna. And Lord Shiva is the master of Tamoguna. Don't forget that. He is the Lord of Pradhana and also the Lord of matter, also the Lord of the Tamoguna. He controls Tamoguna, Guna avatar. So Tamoguna also is nothing but from which sound is coming out, and from which sound all the material elements, earth, water, air, fire, ether, matter is created from Lord Shiva's Tamoguna. Okay, so he is the material cause. So Maya manipulates this material cause through Durga, and then she creates all these elements, and Krishna assists her in that, in the Sarga part of Bhagavatam. So what is happening is, first sound is created, then from sound a next element is created, that is touch, and from touch is integrated into sound, and that gives rise to Vayu or air, because air cannot be seen, it can only be felt, touched, and then from that sense of sight is created from this, and then that is integrated into the air, and then what happens is fire is created, so you can see fire. Okay, sense of sight is given to that, and then sense of touch is already there in the from sound Akasha is created, space is created, because sound is originally the idea of an object. So space, first thing that is element that is created is space, Akasha, and from Akasha sense of touch is created, and then sense of touch is added to Akasha to create air, and then from air sense of sight is created, and then sense of sight is integrated with air and other elements to create. And Krishna is constantly putting his energy also in that, and to create what? To create the sense of sight, basically fire, and then you add the sense of smell. From that sense of smell is created, sense of taste is created, and then water comes into existence, and then sense of touch is created from water, and then it is integrated into water to create the solid thing. So in the material science also you can see all these things are happening, from from air comes H, hydrogen, oxygen, air, from air they merge together and fire is created, and from fire water comes as an end product. Hydrogen plus oxygen is fire plus water. So the whole thing happens like, air, Vayu, then fire, and from fire water, and then you can get ice from that water, and you can get solid earth like situation from water when it is frozen. But then when that everything that is solid can become a liquid, so then that is the liquid can become gas, and then gas can become like that ether. So whole material world is created through sound. Sound is the idea of an object. So what is happening is nothing, idea of an object, basically that is the sound thing, that is the Om, the sound. From that sound is passed into the software, and then Jivatma, and in the mind, and the mind will start seeing these ideas, and from those ideas it starts seeing a virtual world. So mind is all dealing with ideas, right? So in the same way the mind interprets the ideas created by Krishna from sound, and then he sees first space. He sees, oh, there is space around me. Then he sees fire, touch, air, earth, water, air, fire, ether, all the elements, and then the whole material world can be seen by Jivatma through his mind. So it's like in the dream he also sees the whole thing, but he doesn't, through his mind he can see all those things, all those data, but there is no real data, right? In the dream, what's happening when you sleep in the night, you can see the whole world, we are walking in the world, everything, but there is no world. Why? Because the same data is passed. Just like the idea of an object is sound, in the same way Yoga Nidra is passing you the idea of the virtual dream-like world into your mind, and then again when the data is passed into the mind can see that real world and dream world, there is no distinction at that time. Okay, so in the same way the idea of an object in the form of sound is passed to the mind of a living entity, and through that the living entity experiences a virtual dream-like world which is known as the material world. So the source code for creating the material world is idea. The idea is known as nothing but sound. So therefore remember that the idea of an object. So in Gayatri mantra what do? We don't actually chant something. We don't chant. In the mind we chant it. The idea is there. We know the meaning of the mantra. So we are just concentrating on the meaning of the mantra. So when we think about that, when we visualize that, that becomes the actual object only. The mantra is the actual person. And you can see that. Vishwamitra Muni, Karda Muni, he's just thinking about, I want a spaceship. And he designs the whole spaceship inside his mind and then gets that spaceship out of his mind and real spaceship comes out. 1 kilometer long spaceship that can fly in the air and all the things are created from his mind because he knows how to manipulate the sound, the idea of an object. He creates the idea of an object and from that idea, the real object. Then Narada Muni can go from here to Vaikuntha in 1 second. How come? Because space. He can just go get the idea of space inside his mind and then contract that idea of space and then he can just jump from here to there because space itself is created from ideas. An idea of an object is nothing but sound. So sound is the... So Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pramana doesn't mean that you are just hearing something from your ears because ears are also imperfect. So whatever you hear is also be imperfect. If seeing is imperfect, hearing is also imperfect. So the idea of an object, when some authority conveys you, this is Krishna, this is the idea, and you get the idea of Krishna inside your mind, that becomes Shabda Pramana. And that thing is conceived by your mind. It doesn't depend upon the material elements, earth, water, air, fire, ether, because those are all, fallible. Earth, water, air, fire, ether. The Shabda Pramana, Anuman Pramana, all these things are coming from manipulation of these Sankhya, these elements. But Shabda Pramana is coming from, directly the mind is getting the knowledge from sound that is coming from spiritual world, Om. So that's why it is pure, it is not material world. So that's the reason why Shabda Pramana is perfect. The idea of Krishna is coming inside you. So Krishna is like this, Krishna is that, and Krishna is not different from his idea. So Krishna himself comes inside your mind. So all the understanding of the Supreme Lord, when it is conveyed from an authority inside your mind, that becomes idea of an object, that becomes a sound. It is known as Shabda Pramana. Shabda is not just physical sound. So we have to understand that. So, so we are here now. And did I miss out something? This is quite technical actually. Yeah, now we'll come to the idea of what Prabhupada said, that it's just like the water, the sound water and the water themselves is non-different from each other because the sound is a subtle characteristic of the object, water itself. Similarly, the sound of Krishna is non-different from Krishna. So what does this mean? Similarly, that means just like in the material world, the material objects, the sound representation of the material object is the object itself actually. You don't know how to manipulate it, but Vishwamitra Muni knows how to manipulate the sound. He can create new objects, he can create entire planets inside the material world through sound, through his mind. Brahmastra is what? Sound. So all the different techniques of sound, a person who knows how to use the techniques of astras, the technique of sound, he can manipulate and change the material world. He can destroy the material world also. Such powers are there with the siddhis, with those kind of people who can know how to control the code of this material world, which is sound basically. The whole material world is created from sound. Earth, water, air, fire, ether is created from sound. Idea of an object, and using that idea, if he controls his mind and he knows how to control the mind, and using that software of his, if he can manipulate the sound, he can change reality, he can change everything, because those things are actually there. Now Krishna, similarly, Krishna's sound also is not different from Krishna. What is Krishna's sound? Smarana. When you think about Krishna, when you understand Krishna, when you know you're talking about Krishna, you're visualizing Krishna, all these things are smarana, which is nothing but sound. This is sound of Krishna. But there is something known as name also. Now, if you understand, we have seen the previous, this thing, in the previous video, also we had talked something about the form of the Lord, actually. Now, we are talking about the sound of the Lord. So, form of the Lord, we had talked, it's Brahman, that video, that's 2 hours or 1.5 hours video. You can have to check that out. So, in that video, we just saw how the Lord, Angani, Yasya, Sakalendriya, Vittimati. In the same way, we know that the name of an object and the sound of an object are completely different things. Name is simply it's a jargon. It's like a kind of a construct that is used to give the idea of an object. Okay, the name has nothing, is completely different from the object in the material world. But Krishna's names are not different from his sound. That is, his smarana and his actual name, Krishna, are non-different. This is a big thing. Why? Because his names are alive. Because Krishna's names are alive. Why? Because the moment you think about Krishna, because the whole world is Krishna's body. We have mentioned that in the previous video. Brahman is Krishna's body. The whole world is Brahman. So Krishna can manifest from any part of his body. Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimati. The complete vritti, the complete Krishna, all the Sakal Indriya, means a complete person can manifest from any part, any anga. And Brahman is an anga. This material world, matter, everything comes from Krishna. Lord Shiva's body is also coming from Krishna's. Everything is emanating. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. Aham evasam evagre. So everything is coming from Krishna. So that is why the moment you think about Krishna, Smarana, Krishna is physically present there. His sound, everything gets generated on the spot. Even if you're not thinking about Krishna, simply you're chanting his name, Krishna. Because the name is alive. Krishna name is alive. Krishna can immediately hear his name. Somebody is calling my name. Immediately he becomes alive. From the name itself he manifests himself. Because Krishna's name is not dead like the names of this material. Like water is a dead thing. The name is dead. Tamoguna means dead. Death comes from Tamoguna. Everything, the material elements are dead. But Krishna's names are directly chit. They are completely alive. They are completely cognizant. Now dead objects also coming from Krishna's body only, but Krishna is not paying attention to those parts, so that becomes dead. When Krishna doesn't look, it becomes dark. It becomes Tamoguna. It becomes material world, controlled by Lord Shiva. So when Krishna looks at something, that becomes light. Wherever Krishna is there is light. So that becomes spiritual body of Krishna. So all of existence, every kan, every atom, every molecule, Krishna is present. Every part of space, Krishna is present. The moment Krishna is, you call out Krishna's name, you may not know that you are calling Krishna's name, but Krishna knows that you are calling his name. Because Krishna knows that you are calling his name, he becomes alive from that point, he comes out. So that is the reason why the name of the Lord, even if it's called out like Haram, the Shastra says that even in such a name like Haram, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I guess, Haridas Thakur, somebody says that Ram is there in Haram, so even there the person gets benefit. Even though he's not calling out the name intentionally, just namabhas. He's intending to say something, because the moment he calls the name Krishna's attention is immediately invoked, because everywhere Krishna is present. The moment his name is invoked, Krishna becomes active in that point. Now how active he becomes depends upon Shuddhanam. If you are a pure devotee, then Krishna permanently becomes active in that place. That becomes Dham, like Vrindavan. Prabhupada just calls out Krishna's name in Tompkinson Square Park, and that park becomes Vrindavan, because Krishna manifests as Vrindavan there. You cannot do that. You don't have the potency to do that. But you and I cannot do that. But we can still call his attention to a very small extent. And Krishna does get manifested there. And that may be enough for liberation also. Now in Narayan, Ajamil was calling for his son Narayan. So he was not doing Smarana. Smarana means sound. But he was just calling name. He was not doing Smarana. He was just calling name. Name is different from sound. Sound is Smarana. Idea of an object. Remember? So name is just water. But Krishna's name is so potent that even though he didn't call out for Krishna's, he didn't have Smarana, he was just calling out the name of the Lord, Smarana was automatically invoked, because Krishna himself got activated at that point. And Smarana was invoked and he got liberated. So there are two acharyas. Each acharya seemingly seemed to be having a different opinion. Like I think Sridhar Swami and Baldev Vidyabhushan. Prabhupada says, I think Sridhar Swami says that Ajamil actually did Smarana, because without Smarana he would not have gone back to Godhead. But Baldev Vidyabhushan said that he just chanted the holy name, he didn't do Smarana, he was calling out for his son, still he went back to Godhead. It looks as if they are having a conflicting view of opinions. But actually they are saying the same thing. What Sridhar Swami is saying that the holy name of the Lord is so active and so powerful that when he chanted the holy name of the Lord, automatically Smarana was invoked. And he got Smarana, even though he didn't know that he had Smarana. But Krishna, the idea of Krishna automatically appeared in his mind because of what? Because of the fact that Krishna is alive. So Smarana or the sound vibration and Krishna's names are non-different. So that's why when he called the name Narayan, it was his son's name. He didn't call out Smarana, he didn't think about Krishna. He was just calling out the name Narayan. But because the Lord's name is non-different from his Smarana, immediately Lord became active. Oh, somebody is calling me. And the moment he became active, Smarana was introduced inside by force. Without him thinking about Krishna, Krishna himself came in the mind of Ajamil and he got liberated. This was his understanding. And Baldev Vidyabhushan said, no, he was not doing Smarana at all. Just holy name is enough. Same thing he said. What he said was, when he simply chanted the holy name of the Lord, that by holy name itself, Smarana comes by default. And therefore, there is no need for separate Smarana. Holy name itself introduces Smarana. And he went back to God. That means Smarana or sound is non-different from name or Krishna. So name is of a material object like water is different from the sound water, which is the idea of an object. So if you tell Vishwamitra, please give me Gugu. Now Vishwamitra doesn't know what is Gugu. So he doesn't know how, he cannot get that thing for you. He says, what is gugu? Then he says, no, gugu means water. Water. So I'll get it water. The moment he thinks about water, he can get water for you. Because he knows how to code the world. He knows how to access the water from the sound. But name he could not understand until you tell what the name is. So you understand? So name and sound are different, material objects. So, but spiritually, Krishna's name, when he said Narayan, that invoked actually Krishna. Smarana also was invoked by default. So Sridhar Swami says that Smarana happened, and Baldev Vidyabhushan said Smarana never happened. Why? Because Smarana happened by default. He didn't do Smarana. Baldev Vidyabhushan didn't say that Smarana never happened. He said that Ajamil didn't do Smarana, and Sridhar Swami said Ajamil did Smarana. So both are right. Why? Because Sridhar Swami said he just chanted the holy name. He did Smarana because holy name led to Smarana. And Baldev Vidyabhushan Maharaj said that he did not do Smarana because he just chanted holy name actually. But Smarana became default. Or the sound of an object, sound of Krishna came by default. So sound and the name are non-different of Krishna. Therefore, sound happens by default. There is no need to separately call out. So then you may say that I am not thinking about Krishna. I am thinking about everything else, and I am just chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So am I doing Smarana? You are doing Smarana. 100% you are doing Smarana. Then you say, then why do you think that this is an offense not to chant attentively? Problem is that Krishna is a person, right? Now, if you chant his holy name unconsciously, and you do it regularly like a habit, once you do or twice you do, that's not a problem. But if you do as a habit, you constantly, don't pay attention to Krishna. You don't do Smarana actively. You're just chanting holy name. The Smarana will happen. That is, Krishna is not different from sound. So he will come into your mind. But when he comes to your mind, he'll stand in front of you. You will not be paying any attention to him. In the sense, you will be neglecting him to a certain extent. And Krishna can see that. He's a person. The holy name is a person. So what will happen is that holy name will get offended with you. And when he gets offended with you, what happens? He starts playing mischief with you. And when he starts playing mischief with you, although you'll get benefit of Smarana, full Smarana benefit you'll get. But at the same time, you'll get beaten up also by Krishna. Because he's mischievous. He'll do some mischief in your life. And then because that will be offensive to Krishna. And because that's why it's known as an offense. It's also an offense to chant inattentively. So basically, Smarana is happening. Inattentive doesn't mean that Smarana is not happening. When you chant the holy name through your mouth itself, automatically Krishna manifests as Smarana. He comes in your mind. Because the sound representation of Krishna is Smarana actually. Sound means idea of an object. The idea of Krishna is Smarana. It's automatically happening. But again, Krishna is a person. He gets bored, he gets hurt when he sees that my devotee is not paying attention to me, he doesn't care about me. He's a very emotional person. So if he sees that you're not paying attention to him, not caring about it, then he starts becoming mischievous person. And when he becomes mischievous, you know what happens. Your life becomes, then you'll actually pay attention to him after some time. So to avoid all those leelas, the Shastra says that. So this was my whole idea about how the world is created through sound, how Lord Shiva's active role is there in the world, what is Maya, what is Yog Maya, how the sound is, how she's an architect for the sound of this world, and how the sound actually is different from the name in the material world, and how sound creates all the elements, and how our mind, which is a machine, interprets that sound and we go into the dream world. All these things are like, so therefore from this we can understand Krishna's Janma, Karma are Divya. Why? Because his Janma is not like our Janma. Our Janma means what? When we come to the material world, we are first given the mind. Sense Devtas. It's like the joystick. The sense Devtas are the joysticks for seeing the objects. The Shastra says, Bhagavatam 5th chapter 3rd canto, that these Devtas for sense perceiving the objects. Those are the object perception Devtas. Just like we have joystick. So the Jivatma is giving all these wires and machines so that he can interact with the material world. So that is his mind. And then the other integration is done through the, software and everything, and then he goes into the material world. But Krishna, when he comes to the material world, what he does? He doesn't come through this process. He doesn't enter the material world through this, through this process. He is Ajopi son Avyayatma. Ajopi. He doesn't have birth like us because he doesn't enter the material world through our process. So Ajopi san Avyayatma. Avyayatma means he is also completely imperishable. So this so his body is completely spiritual. When he enters the material world also, he enters not like through earth, water, air, fire, ether and all these things, concepts how we are encased inside earth, water, air, fire, ether, our mind, the software through that and all those things. Krishna is not like that. He is like the king, he is like the doctor. He is not like the patient. We are like patients who are entered a hospital. We are put, all wires are put inside us, then we are fed all the food through the wire. But Krishna is like a doctor. He enters directly, bypassing all the systems. Prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atmamaya. So this is the Janma of Krishna, Divya. So because he is Divya, he cannot experience any of the pain, pleasure, suffering, sex life, nothing he can experience. Similarly, Krishna's pure devotees, they Nitya Siddhas. Nitya Siddhas means they constantly, Nitya, see only how Krishna sees. In the same way, they see the world. They cannot experience pain, they cannot experience suffering, they cannot experience any of the tribulations of this material world. Brahma bhūta prasannātma na shoshati na kaṅkshati. Na shoshati means there is no pain, na kaṅkshati, there is no pleasure. There is no material pleasure, no material pain for these people. They are completely beyond material pleasure and material pain. So they are Nitya Siddhas. So they enter this material world like Krishna and they see the world like that. So there are two ways to see the material world. One is to see the world like how Krishna sees the world, and there is another way to see this world how Jivatma sees. So one is called a Nitya Siddha vision and one is called a Nitya Baddha vision. So that's why Kshetragya. Gya means to see or to have knowledge. Kshetra is the material world. So there are two people who view the material world in two different ways. That's why Kshetragya means, the mention is clearly mentioned that there are two viewers of this world. One is the Jivatma who is bound by the material world and he views the whole world in a different. He can feel sex life, he can feel pain, he can feel anger, he can feel ego, he can feel the suffering, he can feel the pain, suffering, everything he can feel. Material things. He cannot feel anything spiritual. His spiritual bodies are completely overlaid by mind and machines. So he cannot experience his natural body. So he is seeing the Kshetragya, he is seeing the Kshetra of this material world. He is the Gya, he is the one who is seeing this, the seer. His sight is different from Krishna's sight. He sees the world through matter, through pain, through suffering. But when Krishna comes, he bypasses the whole thing and he cannot see only pure spirit. For him, the material world is spiritual world. There is no material world for Krishna. Because he sees, he is a different Kshetragya. He is different kind of, like Krishna, pure devotees also Kshetragya and are a different Kshetragya. Who see this world through the lens of Krishna. So they cannot experience pain, they cannot experience suffering. Although they it looks like Prabhupada is experiencing pain, suffering, sex life, maybe he has married, he has got kids. Nothing. Prabhupada is beyond all these things. His Janma Karma is Divya. So when Janma is Divya, because they are bypassing the entire system of this material world, ego, false ego, tamo guna, rajo guna, sattva guna, this sound, everything is bypassed. Because Krishna's Janma is Divya, so his karma, whatever activity he does, is also Divya. That means when Krishna wants to beat somebody, like in your life also, when Krishna is beating you, giving you suffering, actually Krishna doesn't really know, actually he has never seen what actually suffering is. So basically he's just playing mischief with you. Just like he's playing mischief with Madhumangal in the spiritual world, he just slaps his Madhumangal and takes the chas out of Madhumangal's mouth. He just thinks that he is doing the same thing with all the Jivatmas in the material. So Krishna is completely pure. He's completely soft. He's completely, so pure devotee is like thunderbolt and rose. In the sense, from the perspective of pure devotee, whatever actions he does, chastisement, anger, it's all ecstasy. Spiritual world, everything is ecstatic in nature. Yashoda Maya is ecstatic. It's so beautiful when she chastises Krishna. Similarly, Prabhupada, when he's chastising, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chastising people, when Krishna is chastising the demons, or he's chastising you also right now in our life, when he's playing mischief in your life. So he's pure. He's like a rose. He just wants to, take you back to the spiritual world. So he's just enjoying it. He's not like trying to give you pain. But the effects that you are experiencing, because you are Nitya Baddha, your karma, Krishna's Janma and Karma Divya. So Krishna is never bound by karma. When anybody who understands the secret that Krishna is not bound by karma, he cannot experience all these things. He cannot induce pain to somebody. So he is also not bound by karma. Because he also understands that Krishna, he has understood Krishna then. That Krishna's Janma Karma is Divya. In Tattva. When he understands that, it's finished. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti. It's finished. You are liberated. You're finished. This material world is over for you. Just understand this concept right now. So basically this video is about the sound basically. Last video was about the form of the Lord. So all of these things, when you understand how this Lord's form is so different from our concept of forms, or how his sound is so different, his names are so different. He is also known as Anama because he doesn't have a material concept of name. Like, name is a designation. For him, the name and sound are non-different. So the Lord's sound, Lord's name, everything is same. So you can say Lord's now sound, or you can say Lord's name. Prabhupada sometimes says Lord's name, sometimes Prabhupada says Lord's sound. Non-different. So this was about the name. Then Guna, Rupa, Leela, I don't know. I've still not got realizations about it. So just got idea about this form of the Lord in the previous video, and today's video was about the name of the Lord.